Hi, Satin.
We're live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Mindset Reset Power Series, a partnership between Coach Ra of CoachMeRuthAnn.com and myself, Coach Black from FredericaBlackCoaching.com. We are both personal development coaches who are committed to helping you to unlock the power of your mind, to reset your mindset, and to help you become more aware, authentic, and magnificent. It is our objective to create a community of thought leaders who operate from the vision of their own dreams and not the conditions of their circumstances. This evening, we are going to be talking about the power of belief. We want you to join in with our conversation, so please feel free to use the question and answer box and get your questions answered here live. If you have any suggestions or comments for us, please go ahead and inbox us on Facebook or by using our website. This evening, this is going to be an exciting topic because Coach Ra and I will be talking about the power of beliefs because they create the world around us. And so we want to help you to create beliefs that will help to propel you into your destiny. Now, don't get us wrong. We don't want to give you our beliefs. We want you to create beliefs for yourself, but beliefs that will help to give you the best life that you deserve. And so, Coach Ra, let's get this conversation started so that we can talk about beliefs and how they can literally create a life of expansion or a life of limitations. And so one of the first things I want to talk about is what are beliefs? And so, Coach Ra, I know you have a definition on what beliefs are. I'll share my definition, and then I want you to join in by sharing your definition because together they can bring clarity to our audience as to what beliefs exactly are. And so I believe beliefs are assumptions of truths, things that we believe are true. They are not what we know. They are assumed truths. And so when I say beliefs, I'm talking about things that you have no definite answers for, a way of thinking that determine what you do in your life. Coach Ra, what is your definition of beliefs?
Well, definitely, I agree with what you were saying, and then to add to it would be your belief system is the actual set of precepts from which you live your daily life, those which govern your thoughts, words, and actions. So basically from that, I mean that, sometimes, a lot of times, I should say, oftentimes, our beliefs sometimes are even things that we don't realize have entered into our space, into our aura, and we've actually taken it on, and it then becomes something that we own and we take on. But honestly, to tell you the truth, if we pause and go back and say, well, why do we have these beliefs, it really can be skewed. So take it away, Coach Black.
Definitely, definitely. And the thing with beliefs are, these are things that we come up with that create our life. Not necessarily we come up with, because what I find is that the beliefs that we have are not even beliefs of our own most of the times. They are things that were impressed upon us by our parents, our environment, the religious organizations that we connect ourselves with, propaganda in the media, politics. And so what we want to do this evening is talk to you about beliefs that you create, because most of the times what happens is we are operating from beliefs that are not even our own. And I know for me, there were lots of beliefs that were impressed upon me from childhood that I just continued to live my life by. But as I became an adult, and became not so much an adult, as I started to seek awareness and consciousness, I started to realize that those were beliefs that I did not even want to subscribe to. They were things that my parents told me. They were things that I was taught in school, but they did not identify who I truly was. And one of the things I think about when I talk about my beliefs is that walking under a ladder, I know a lot of people think that walking under a ladder is bad luck. Where did that come from? That was something that I was told as a kid. Hey, Frederica, do not walk under the ladder because it'll be bad luck. Another one of my beliefs were that if I put my purse on the floor, I wouldn't have any money. You know, that was something that I assumed to be true. There was no facts that supported it, no evidence that really said that it was true. And then what I came to find out is that whether or not I put my bag on the floor didn't determine if I had money or not. I was the determining factor. But that belief created so many limitations in my life, you know, because when I thought about putting my bag on the floor, I sent out a vibration that, oh, I wouldn't have any money. And so that belief literally created a reality for me when indeed it was not true. Coach Raj, share some beliefs that you may have had that hindered you from doing things that, you know, could have created positive results for you, but that actually stopped you from progressing or created some limitation.
Well, I'd like to really share a story that I was reading the other day, and I thought it was so interesting because it was about a group of housekeepers that in a hotel, and they were all heavy set, but they worked really hard. They were like kind of unhealthy, and so it was so interesting how someone noticed this, and they were like, these ladies are supposed to be slim and fit. I mean, they're up and down the stairs, they're pushing these heavy carts. And so basically they made a comment. They said, wow, y'all work so hard, you know, y'all would be like slim and fit. And they came back to these same housekeepers, I think it was within like maybe a 5 to 6 week period, and the women had lost weight. They had actually lost weight from a belief that had been planted, because they didn't think that they could have lost weight before, or lose weight, I should say. They didn't think they could lose weight before. But when this belief was planted in them that the job that they have is such a fit job that, you know, they would automatically lose weight. These ladies didn't even change their diet. They didn't do anything, but they actually lost weight. And when I read that, it became so powerful to me because I was always big. Like, I always weighed a lot of weight. And then it made me wonder that maybe, what if, and the thing is, I used to exercise a lot, and I'd never lose anything. But until I was ready to actually do it and change my way of thinking about food and health, because my concept or my belief was, I'm going to die anyway, so what difference does it make? So I had no even respect for my personal space, my personal body, my health. And it was amazing that when I did focus on that and I changed the way I thought about it, so my belief, so let me use the right wording, when I changed my belief about what I thought should go in my body and how I should eat and if this will fill me and if this amount of food will be sufficient, it was amazing how, with help of other stuff, my weight did significantly start dropping. And that really amazed me based on the fact that I had worked so hard before. But my belief system, honestly, in studying about beliefs, I feel that it might have hindered me. And I think it held me back because I didn't really want to lose weight, and I had no respect for weight loss, and it was not a belief. And so I wanted to share that because I thought that was so interesting how these housekeepers, without doing anything, not changing their diet, doing the exact same thing that they did all the time, these women lost weight. And it amazed the individual that had planted the seed of belief in them that their profession was that of a healthy profession and that they should be slim and fit. And so, yeah, you know, I thought that was so interesting, Coach Black, because it goes back to what you were saying last week regarding the entrance of thought into the subconscious without us even knowing. You know, because they probably listen to that person make that comment and we're like, girl, please, you know, or boy, please. But it is amazing how that small droplet then became their belief, and their whole subconscious and their whole body took that on and changed whatever was going on. So back to you, Coach Black.
Definitely, Coach Ra, and it's amazing what happened when those ladies heard that their job was a fit job. They started to believe something different about their job. So initially, they were thinking that, oh, this was just a job. And yeah, they were obese. But when they got a hold of the belief that their job was actually something that would help them to become fit, they now started to internalize that, and they manifested that in their life. And beliefs are so important because they create the very world around us. You know, I am thinking about a hypnotist because I heard a story as well about hypnotism, how it affects us so much, our belief system so much, that when a gentleman was being hypnotized, he was told that he was on a beach getting a suntan. Under hypnosis, his skin started to turn as if he had a suntan. It wasn't that he was in the sun. His belief system changed, and it manifested in his life. And I want you to know, viewers, that your belief systems are very, very important. They create what you see around you. Too many times we've gotten a hold of dogmas that tell us that this is how something is supposed to be, when in fact there is no evidence to support that this is how it should be. And so when there is no evidence to support that this is a truth, you and I get to determine how we look at that belief, how we look at that dogma. And we can decide from our own belief system that, you know something, I want to analyze this dogma more. I want to decide whether or not this is going to be a truth for me or not. Because beliefs are not true, neither are they false, they're not right, neither are they wrong. And so you get to determine what the reality will be for you. I know for me, I'll talk about my religious belief. I know religion is something that we don't talk about a lot because it's just taboo to talk about it. For me, and I'm not talking about for anyone else. For me, my religion, I was told that there were some things that I just did not want to know. I put myself in a box because someone told me that there were things that I should not research, that I may, you know, not, I may not accept things the way I was thought. And the fact that someone told me that I would not accept it, I felt that I should, after an investigation, I felt like that should have propelled me to want to investigate. But because of limiting beliefs that I had, I did not investigate. And so I had to have a whole different concept on my religion after I started to do investigation. There were things that I thought that, oh, God would call condemnation on me if I started to do research about Christianity, about different religions on the whole, and how I can tie them into my life so that I would just not accept the religion of Christianity alone. And number one, I got a lot of feedback and criticism from family members who told me, oh, Frederica, you've been a Christian all your life. You don't need to do any research. Oh, you don't believe in God? No, it was not that I didn't believe in God, but there were questions deep within that needed answers that I never got a resting in my mind from, because what was being taught to me based on what I had come to believe was not sound. And when I started to do the investigation, there were things that were strengthened in my faith, and there were things that there were bigger questions too. And so I started to change my concept on religion and Christianity as I saw it. And so today I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to pay attention to those thoughts that tell you to dig deeper, to pay attention to the hunches that you get from within that makes you question what it is you believe as it relates to religion, as it relates to politics, as it relates to education, because those hunches are clues that there is more that you need to know so that you can become a more aware being. And when something goes contrary to what it is that you've been taught, there's nothing wrong with it. All it is saying is that more investigation is needed. And so now what I do is I don't just accept what my parents have told me. I don't just accept what society has imposed upon me. I go out there and I do an investigation to see if this is what I really believe, because some of these things that are taught to us will hinder us. They will stop us from exploring possibilities to create the life that we want. One of the things that hindered me was that God was going to judge me and he was going to condemn me if I started to do an in-depth research on my Christian faith. And I felt trapped for a very long time. I started to share with Coach Ra's mom on Saturday how I was just wearing a mask. I would go to church on Sunday and the pastor would be preaching and I would have all these beliefs that said, oh no, that's not true. That's not what I believe. And then I would walk out of church acting as if it was a belief pattern that I had subscribed to. No, it wasn't. It was not what I believed. It was not what resonated with me. And so today I want you to know that when something does not resonate with you, you have a right to investigate. The only way you will come up with a truth that is a truth to you is through investigation. And since a belief is not true, neither is it false, then who gives anyone the right to tell you that your beliefs are right or they're wrong? I believe that beliefs are relative. And what we must do is we must start to investigate the truth for what it means to us so that we can show our authenticity. Because your parents say something, does it mean that it's right? Because the pastor says something, does that mean that it's right? Because the religious leaders say that something is right, does that mean that it's right? Because the prime minister or the president says something, does not mean that it's right. You have a right to investigate the truth for yourself. I don't want you to put limitations on yourself because someone said something. No, I want you to go out there and investigate the truth for yourself and come up with beliefs that resonate with you. No one's belief is true. No one's belief is false. Unless we have proof that something is right or wrong, unless we can definitely say that we know this, then all it is it is a belief. And you have a right to decide on what you're going to believe. Coach Ra, any comments as it relates to, people imposing beliefs upon us?
Well, I loved, I read something the other day and it spoke about a young man in India. And I personally went to school in India, and when I was 8 years old, and I went to boarding school. And I remember landing at the airport and driving from Bombay to Pune. And so we were driving up the mountains, and during our drive, it was about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. In the taxi, it was me and my sister. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Una was there with her, was another young lady from the Caribbean. Her parents lived in Bermuda, Una Rochester. And I remember as we drove, we saw all of these cows. And the cows were really thin. They weren't like these fat, juicy, carrying on bad cows. So I was just like, this is weird. And they were like all over the place. So it wasn't like they were captivated in like a pen or anything. They'd just be like kind of everywhere. Even I remember in driving, they blocked the road. However, I never really understood because at the time we were told that cows were sacred. And I never really went into the depth of why they were sacred. I knew that the Hindu faith was prominent in India, and Krishna is their prophet. So I just didn't pay any mind to it because I know there was a different belief system in there that maybe I was not privy to or did not understand at the time. However, so let's come back and go 20 plus years after this trip to India, and I read this story, and this young boy who was a young Indian boy, he said that when McDonald's came to India, he was like enticed by that cheeseburger. And he was like, man, I want a cheeseburger. So he went to his mommy and he's like, mommy, I can imagine him, mommy, I want some cheeseburger, the Indian accent. So he says, mommy, I want a cheeseburger. And his mommy says, okay. He says, but I have a problem. The problem is that it is a cow. It is made out of beef. Okay, so his mom says to him, and it was lucky that his mom didn't have such entrenched beliefs that she shut him down, because usually in a Hindu family that would be the first step. You wouldn't even get past that. It would be no, because the cow is sacred. So anyway, his mom goes on to tell him, okay, if you can give me a reason why or why we don't eat beef and it's sound, then we'll go from there. So this young man, I think it was at the age of 9 or 11, I don't recall the actual age, he did an in-depth study on why Hindus don't eat the cow. And he went back in his ancestry, he went back in his religious ancestry and history to then find out that the reason why they don't eat the cow is because it's worth more to them than food. What do I mean by that? It actually can go out into the field and it can help them plow and pull the different, equipment that they're unable to physically do. When it dies, it's able to give them leather that can cover their shoes, can become shoes, clothing, handbags. So to them, the cow was worth more as a physical being than it was just to eat the meat. And so that's where it stemmed from. Now, all I can say is, wow, what a belief.
Yeah,
because from someone looking in, you would have seen something completely different. And or you would have said, boy, them Hindus must be crazy because they, but it's not that. It goes back to the beliefs. And so I was really excited when Coach Black came to me and said, you know what, next week we're going to talk about beliefs. And usually I will let you know that when Coach Black and myself are planning to come on here with y'all, we really do our research. And we delve in and we start listening to different things. And because we don't want to give you our belief. We want to give you the best. And so we really streamline and go into different things to find out, okay, do we have beliefs that we shouldn't have? And so we really start, delving into ourselves and seeing, well, what beliefs are we dealing in that aren't really necessary? And what we discovered, I know in conversation, because y'all have to understand, when we're coming to y'all, we have discussed this topic to the point where it's like we see each other and we burst out laughing about something that we've discussed, or, that's how passionate we become about it. And it was like, as we went on a journey, I think it was on Sunday, and was it Sunday? No, Saturday. It was on Saturday, and it was so funny because as we were driving, I think we discussed something, and we looked at each other and we go, oh, well, that's a belief, and it's so, this is how it becomes for us when we're really going into a different topic. We really delve into it, and how does it look in our personal lives? And what I realize is that beliefs is a serious thing, and it stems from things that we are really unaware of. And one of the questions, I know Coach Black is going to share, so I'm not going to take that light from her, but when she shares it, guys, gents, ladies, really focus in on that question this evening. Let that be the guiding force for what you get from tonight's session, because you will be amazed at what you will find when you start really thinking about what you believe. And I think of another story before I pass it on to you, Coach Black. Is a gentleman mentioned one time at a meeting I was at, and he said that every time they went to Thanksgiving, they found that he watched as the family would cut off both ends of the ham and throw it away. And he was like, what is going on here? Like, why you just, and the thing is, it's not like it was rotten or it was bad or anything. They would just cut off these two ends of the ham and throw it away. And in his insight, he was like, you know what? I really need to find out what's going on here. So when he went and asked, they said, oh, that's how Grammy does it. And so he's like, you know what? Let me go to the root of the belief. So he actually went, and he went to the Grammy, and he was like, okay, Grammy, explain to me exactly why do you cut off each end of the ham and throw it away? What happens? What is there something that happens? And it was so funny that the Grammy turns around and looks at him and says, well, the reason why I did it is because I didn't have a big enough pan. Now, once again, wow. So a generation upon generation upon generation created a habit of a belief that, like Coach Black said, is really relevant to the person that was dealing with it. Because the grandmother only was cutting it off because she didn't have a big enough pan. And you're cutting it off just because you watched your Grammy cut it. So it really amazed me that this is what we do. And this is what we've done for so many years with our beliefs. You know, so to me, we have to really evaluate what are our beliefs and why do we have them. So Coach Black, take it away. I know you have a few questions for our viewers tonight.
Thank you, Coach Ra. And before I get started with the questions and give you an opportunity to analyze where you are, I want you to think of a saying that we've heard many times over the course of our lives. It says, watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. And I want to elaborate a little bit more on watch your thoughts, because they become your words. The words that we speak only come from the systems of beliefs that we have, our models of reality, how we see the world. And our beliefs are what they are because of the reinforcement that we've received from the people around us. And so if grandma, like Coach Ra was sharing the story, was cutting off the ham, and even though she did not, the ham ends, even though she did not speak as to why she was doing it when she initially did it, her actions fostered a tradition in her family. And so in that same way, our families say things and do things that foster a belief system in us. And the question today is whether those beliefs are right or wrong to you. See, beliefs are relative. And I want you to analyze where you are. I'll analyze where I am, and that's what I've been doing in the past few weeks, analyzing where Frederica is. And one of the beliefs that I had to start to work on, and I'm talking about, I just identified this today, was my voice. When I was a kid, I was told that, oh, you have a man voice. And it was so bad that sometimes I did not even want to speak because I did not want to sound like a man. Were the people right, or were they wrong in saying that my voice sounded like that of a male counterpart? It was right or wrong to them. I had to make a decision as to whether or not it was going to be right or wrong to me. And for a long time, even though I did not say it, I realized today that I had a limiting belief that my voice sounded like a man. So I would talk from my nose. And rather than speak from the core of who I am, I let the belief that someone had that said that I sounded like a man hinder the real, authentic Frederica. And today, all of us are suffering from something that we have questions about in the back of our minds. Because we say, do I really believe this? And the truth of the matter is, you really don't. The beliefs you have are your own. And so you get to determine what beliefs you will have. And so today I want to encourage you to identify 5 beliefs that you have. And we believe things on a conscious level and on a subconscious level. And the belief that I sounded like a man, that was a subconscious belief that I had, because literally that would not run across my mind. But my actions in changing where I spoke from said that that was a belief that I had that limited me. And so I want you to identify 5 beliefs that you have, 5 beliefs that resonate with you on a very deep level. It could be anywhere from religion to politics, to propaganda that you've heard on the TV or in the news. I want you to write down 5 beliefs. And when you would have written down those beliefs, I want you to identify where you got those beliefs from. I can think of a situation where I was to Junkanoo, which is a cultural festival in the Bahamas. One time, a gentleman said hello to me, young guy, one of my peers. He said hello, and when I said hello back, he said, oh, man, the girl said hello. And so when he said that, that belief became ingrained in me, that is the way I sounded. Hello. And that stopped me from using the gift that God had given me, the voice that He gave me, that powerful voice. Not the voice that says, oh, yesterday. No, the voice that speaks with power. That voice. And I want you to identify where your beliefs came from. See, my belief became ingrained in me when he said, oh, my little girl speaks like a man. That became entrenched. The truth of the matter is, I do not have a problem with the way I speak. But I don't have a problem on a conscious level. But I have a problem on a subconscious level. So I also want you to identify where those beliefs are for you. Are they on a conscious level or a subconscious level? Because there are times that Frederica on a consciously speaks from her nose. There are times on a conscious level I would give you my real voice because I am coming to accept that real voice. And then I want you to decide if those beliefs are limiting or they are beliefs that will help to propel you into your destiny. Our beliefs determine what we see around us. They create the very world that we live in. Can you imagine having a belief that will limit you? A belief that will stop you from achieving all that you can? And today when I identified that I had a limiting belief about my voice, I started to remember a time when a gentleman said to me, he said, Frederica, your voice is so powerful. I want to use you for a voiceover. Imagine if I had continually used the real, authentic voice that Frederica has. How many opportunities I may have had. But I aborted those opportunities because I believed someone who said, oh, you talk like a man. No, I don't talk like a man. I talk like Frederica. And it's okay to talk like Frederica. It's okay to be a little bit louder than others. It's okay to have a voice that is deep and that is powerful. And that may not be a soprano or an alto voice. It's okay for Frederica to have a voice that has a little bit more bass than others. It is okay. And the truth of the matter is, I have to tell myself that over and over and over. Why? Because over and over and over, someone said to me, you sound like a man. And just as that belief was entrenched and ingrained in my subconscious, because it was repeatedly said, to reverse that belief, to change that belief, to reset my mindset, I have to repeatedly tell myself, you have a beautiful yet powerful voice. You have a voice that belongs to you and that sets you apart. So identify 5 beliefs that you have. Write down whether those beliefs are beliefs that you have on a conscious level or a subconscious level. And then if those beliefs are limiting, I want you to replace those beliefs. You get to choose what is right or what is wrong, what is true or what is false. And so when you're going to determine whether something is your reality, you must create the best reality that you can have so that you can maximize and become all that you were born to be. See, greatness is in you. You were born with it. You cannot let beliefs that people have imposed upon you to tell you any different. Greatness is in you. And those beliefs that you have will help to determine whether or not greatness is being made manifest in your life. And so today the real question is, are you going to believe that you are great or that you are not? I believe that I'm great, and I believe that you're great. Are you going to believe that you're great? Coach Ra, any final words for our audience?
I just want to say that when you do the exercise, it's really going to open your eyes to a lot of stuff and be open to it. And sometimes even looking at everything that you do on a daily basis and seeing why you actually do it. You know, why do you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, or why do you get up, whatever it is. I mean, because we all do different things. We all have different ideas of how we do things. But definitely I will say to you that it is amazing at what you will see and what you will realize and what will manifest itself when you realize the different beliefs that you have. And like Coach Black said, try to figure out where they came from and try to see, are they the ones that are on top, or are they the ones that are deeper back? Are they deeper in the subconscious? Are deeper within you? Because sometimes those beliefs are a little harder to reset, but like Coach Black said a few seconds ago, you got to just keep repeating it. You know, if it really isn't your belief, repeat it out. You just have to repeat it out. It's so simple. And sometimes we think, oh, I can't, da, 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 da. No, that's irrelevant. Repeat it out. You don't believe it anymore? Change it. And that's fine. And so we have to understand that it's okay to not believe that, even though it might have been something that was there. So with that being said, you know, thanks again, guys, for joining Coach Black and myself. And, you know, definitely you'll see the website will be at the bottom of the page when we post the link. But thank you again, and have a great evening.